That. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. Welcome on into the Dragon Den. My name's Digital Dragon. I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. Means I do everything from printer unboxings and assemblies to full 3D printer builds. I also do some prototyping. We built the Zero G Mercury one here. It's a full frame build enclosed during a closed beta. We built the trad rack under the closed beta. We're going to be rebuilding that using the new release candidate 1 version of the trad rack. And on this machine right here is a hot end from Drop Effect and Fadus called the Drop Effect Next G that I was part of the closed beta testing. So I do a lot of beta testing, do a lot of trial and error, and just do a lot of machine builds because it's fun, helps me relax. Welcome on in, everybody. KB3D Chris and Aaron. Chris, the hardware thing, there was one screw type that was completely missing. And I think Chris said it should have been in the top deck. And it was an M5 button head screw. And there's not a single M5 button head anywhere in the case. So, um, no problem because I have plenty of M5 button heads because I built a bunch of other printers here. But yeah, that was it. Hey Timor, how's it going? I'm gonna try my best to not spill anything. Be moving some things. Trying to drink coffee, but at the same time, right now, don't have anything up here. And this is the protective layer on the top. I've already taken the inside, but I needed a platform, and I needed a platform to sit our Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder. So this is the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder version 2 that we just finished the mechanical build and wiring on. The lower portion here with the 2 rods is the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder, and then the arms and these paddle, things are the actual buffers that'll be used for the filament to help it buffer um, once we get everything. As you can see, we do have a Canbus cable plugged in over here. And that is because on the last stream, we did get Canbus set up. So we got Canbus and basic Klipper firmware on our Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder. And right now that Canbus cable, well here, let me flip this over. So right now that Canbus cable is just going through one of the holes in the skirt in the back. Um, what I what I found and what I decided to do was I found these. It's a little, they call it a keystone. This to me is not a keystone, just a port jack holder. But this is a 2x2 microfit, which is what we would use on the, like if we were plugging it into a UTC or something. So my plan is to take this, mount it in one of the slots in the back side, and put a male on one side, female on the other. And that way I would be able to take this off the printer real easily because once I get this mounted, then trying to move the printer gets a little more unwieldy every time. So not having a cord hanging out, running around, 20 meters long, not 20, but it's big, will help to clean this up a little bit more. Um, and so, yeah, that's the plan there. And I've got to do that. And it's hard to see, so I'll bring you guys around here. I have a camera mounted, and it should be out of the way here. I'd have to stop the motors to check it. But it should be completely out of the way here. It's as far back as it can go without switching it over and mounting it to the back side. Maybe I can get it even further back. But this is an ESP32 cam that I'm just going to provide power and ground to, 5-volt power and ground. So I'm going to have to pull a 5-volt power and ground up here for this. But this has already been flashed and is up and running. And I'm hoping with the 5-volt and ground, it'll get better. If not, then I have to um, open this up and mess with and set up for an external antenna. That's where it'll get fun. And I say that because I had to use like 5x magnification on my phone and get like that far from it to be able to see the resistor that I would have to move from 2 sets of pads over to 2 other sets to switch from the internal to the it may, but it may not, because remember the side panel is going to sit off by 3 millimeters due to the um, foam tape. So we'll see. If it does, it's going to hit one way or the other. If it does, I will see if I can't make it, find a different mount. Um, we'll figure that out. We will figure that out. Okay, I'll have to check the rest. Like I said, it so far it's been one screw, and other than that, everything's been in the kit. And in fact, it's not on the label on the cover either. And I believe it was the M5 screw that we used to mount the ceramic um, thermal fuse to the bed. I believe that's where it was. So yeah, it might be the angle. I mean, it's a couple of millimeters. It's going to be tight. It will be tight. And you notice as well, what I did was it said to put foam tape on the railing here um, to help keep the vibration down. And I decided rather than putting foam tape here that leaves a residue and would look kind of ugly um, on these nice white rails, I just put a strip of the rail cover in here, and this should provide that little bit of standoff, and it'll be rubber, so it'll stop some of the banging. But looking straight on down this, it's going to be tight. It'll be tight. And then I did also put covering down around the base, and this is just to keep the little bits and bobs of filament that you're going to inherently get when you get any um, spaghetti made. You're going to get some bits and bobs down there. So just try and keep it at least on the deck where we can wipe it off or get to it with a vacuumer. So this is not going to sit right up here. What I'm going to do is I printed out some parts, and what this will do is mount right above the panel, and it'll be on the side, of course, but it would mount right above the panel, and you'll have a piece of extrusion that'll be going all the way across. So I need to cut those extrusions. I want to say it's going to be 510 millimeters. So I'm going to cut those extrusions later this week, maybe tomorrow, maybe Saturday. Depends on what day it rains. And then we'll be able to mount this up on some extrusions. The only other thing I need to do is still do the lights across the front. Easy enough to do. It's just one of those things. I'm going to mount this further back so that the filament can run basically right up the back wall and into the buffers. But for now, and I just realized I did not change the stream information because I'm too busy working around. Let me change that. Make sure I'll change it a little bit later. So what we're working on today is going to be the Happy Hare install. So we've got all of the mechanical bits done. Like I said, we don't have lights, but that's a little bit of bling. We can deal with bling a little bit later. So browser window, we're gonna I think we might want to go full display. Let's go full display. So we've got the Happy Hare software. I've looked through this a little bit, and this is going to be interesting. The Happy Hare has been updated to fully support ERCT v2. Yeah, and we'll look at this manual supplement first. If you guys looked on Twitter, I did take a picture of the under the deck wiring. One thing or two things have changed. I had the polarity on the bento box and the skirt fans reversed. I was like, why are the fans not coming on? I validated again, realized that I had it wrong, swapped them, everything's running. So the Happy Hare supplement, there we go. We need to install the firmware for controlling the MMU functions. Not even selectable either. You How do you say that there's a document to look at to get you going and none of the links are actually clickable? Can't copy anything. Major features, yes, yes. We do have Klipper Screen on this box. That's the other thing I added when I was doing the skirts last night. So that's up and running. So we're going to go ahead and copy these files. And let's get our study session restarted. And we're going to go ahead and download the software and then get into our instance. Now the dash I brings up a interactive menu, which should allow us to answer several questions and build the basic config file. Hey, Shawno, welcome on in. How's it going? So Chris, too, I didn't realize that you guys were actually moving shop location. I didn't realize that's what his hectic schedule was. So here it's asking you what kind of MMU you're setting up, you'll notice that this works for 1.1, 2.0 of the ERCFA, as well as TradRack version 1.0. So that's kind of interesting. They do have a TradRack that I will be rebuilding. Hey, Pez Liz, welcome in. Welcome in. So we're going to select 2 here because this is an ERCFA v2. Some popular upgrade options can automatically be set up. Let me ask you about them. Are you using thumper blocks? I am not using thumper blocks. How many gates do you have? We've got, this is an 8 gate. Ooh, some roasted broccoli. So you're eating better to make up for all the sweets from last night? This is an 8 gate build. Select the board type you use to control. You have a selection of the Big Tree Tech MMB, which we are using, 5-sec Burroughs ERB, standard Easy Board, Easy Board with an RPI 2040, the Mellow Easy Board with Canbus, and one that's unknown or a generic type. So we are using the Big Tree Tech MMB, but I do have a standard Easy Board, and I also have a mellow Easy Board with Canbus. So those are options that I can use for my next build as well if I want. So we're going to select 1 for the MMB. Couldn't find your serial port, but no worries. I'll configure the default and you can manually change later. That's probably because we're not connected via USB. We're connected via Canbus already. Selector operation using TMC allows for additional selector recovery steps, but difficult to tune. Not recommended if you are new to MMU Happy Hare, and MCU must have diag output for steppers. Figure later. I am going to disable that because I'm using a end stop that's configured, and I'm not sure if it's tied in with the diag, but for now we'll just go with the standard end stop. Oops. Would you like to have NeoPixel LED set up now for your MMU? Enable yes, yes. I don't have the MMU LEDs configured at this time or installed, but rather than have it do an update later on, I am going to say yes. Which servo are you using? You have the MG90S, the Savox, which was the recommended, but not the one that I have. I have the 90S. Select that. Log detection. This uses the encoder to determine if you've got a clog. You want to use that, yes or no? Yes, we do. You like the MMU to automatically adjust clog detection length? Sure. Why not? Okay, endless spool is definitely a yes. That would allow you, if you're doing a long print and you don't care about the colors, you can have 4 or 5 spools loaded up, or you can have spools that are almost empty that you know won't fit a job. And as soon as it's done with the one, it'll just go right into the other spools. That will be a yes, because I hopefully plan on doing some larger prints here. Would you like me to include all the files? Yes, I would. Save me some time. Would you like to include the Mini 12864? No, because we did not install the Mini 12864. I'd like to include subset of the legacy ERCFA command set compatibility mode. No. We want all the new stuff because I've never run an old one. And yes, I am going to use their default pause and resume macros. Would you like to use the filament cutter macro? Yeah, hold on a second. You like to include the EREC. Filament cutter macro requires the EREC servo installation. Maybe not, because we're not using a servo run filament cutter. Just a matter of a macro. You like to include the Blobifier purge system. Requires the Blobifier servo installation. Oh, nope, haven't heard of that. So things that still need to be done. Verify the pin configuration and change to match your MPU. Verify the motor current, especially if it's a palm motor. Adjust motor direction with the exclamation point if it's going direction. Adjust your config for loading and unloading. Okay. Copied the original printer config file out, updated it. Did it create install? Hey, Danny Barr, how you doing? Welcome on in, MakerMind Nexus. Welcome on in. Are you breaking open a box and inventory in a box right now, Dan? So it looks like we had the basic install of Happy Hare done. Um, see what we're at in the Still choose not to install the new MMU config files automatically. You can count splits, pins, and the installer will look for Klipper in the current directory. Sure. Okay, that's just an example. Gotcha. So a lot of files need to be referenced in the main printer config. So let's check our printer config now rebooted and just see what some of the changes that have been. Okay, this must have been the config that it saved out. Here's the new config. MMU folder, so that's good. Not seeing anything there yet. We've got our Canbus for the MCU, Canbus for the stealth burner, and Canbus for the Big Tree Tech MMB. Sure. So it added the includes up here at the top. I'm going to just move those down to my standard include section. And remember, I go and double check that. The MMU, blah, blah, blah. Other base config files must be referenced by your printer config master file config and an MMU hardware listed first. Recommended way to achieve this is simply config, macros config, explicitly reference if you don't already have macros. I do, but we will look and do some. Hey, Kit Skyfire, how are you doing? Hey, sis, how are you doing? Welcome in. Yep, Dan has joined the survey and if you're concerned about running this, and you can do this to basically create temp folders, see what changes are going to before you do it. Okay, videos. We can watch the install video in German if we need help, or you do like me and just follow Lee Marie, watch him because that's all software install. Because this, what I want to do. Okay, so it aired out on. So I'm not seeing any MMU stuff. That's disconcerting. Need to refresh here. Okay, there we go. There's all my add-ons, base, optional, version config. So quite a few things called out here. And I have zero idea why this LED effect is failing. So you're gonna have to figure stuff like that out. Yeah. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Oh, wow. Yeah. Thank you. Subscribing for 12 months. That's awesome, Chris. Thanks. I was going to say it's an LDO kit, so there's all kinds of cool goodies. Hey, Pete, welcome in. So we are, I'll say, trying to dig around and see what's going on. So right now we've done the initial base install for Happy Hare, and we've got some things that are already blowing up. So our printer's not coming back from. Not sure why. We'll have to see. Um, like really, we've got to solve whatever this is before it's even going to let us go further. Likely you don't have the LED effect Klipper mod. It'd be great if we're gonna have to like figure out how to get to troubleshoot right off the bat. Either that or we go back in and deselect the LEDs for now. Let's do that. Let's run back through here and see if we can't get things re-updated and just do it without the LEDs. We've got an ERCFA 2. We're not using thumper blocks. Number of gates, we've got 8. We're using a Big Tree Tech MMB. Okay, so what I need to do is just install this. Copy that. We'll come back over here. Escape out of this, or are we just gonna have to dig through it? I'll have to dig through it. Go to that. Yes to this. Detection, yes. Automatically, yes. Endless spool, yes. That was a no. Legacy, just for the default. So for that macro, that one. Oh wow. And thanks to Wolf for telling me about that. So I'll go and install the Klipper LED effect. Then we'll work through any more errors we have by then. Yeah, happy ERCFA day, zombie. ERCFA day for me, and what, tap changer for you? Gonna do a third head today. Hey, Big Jana, welcome in. Yep. Well, it's already there, already there. Done. That's great. We're going to paste this in, which is going to CD us back to our home directory. Do the git clone, go into Klipper LED effects, and then install Klipper LED effects. And just like that, bada bing, bada boom, that's done. So, do a restart of everything. Pick up the Klipper LED effects software. Oh, Do you mean one of these? Mean one of these. Couldn't sleep again last night. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I stayed up way late and was dragging butt all day today. Then started later in the day on coffee. Then I probably should have started with coffee like mainline and first thing in the You need a Kev TED talk. Check in with us. There's an issue with the model. If it lights up, I don't know about it. There does not appear to be anything that would light up or yeah. No, this one doesn't light up. But I did see that he's got them in different colors, so I might have to get like the brown one. Yeah, digital dragon with the rabbit ears. Okay, Westery. Um, I'm sitting here playing around and it's barking at me that it can't find the MCU. It's not able to find the MMU MC. That's interesting. We're going to do a reboot, full reboot, and see what happens. Little plastic tabs behind the ears. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, there are little plastic tabs behind the ears. I don't know. I don't know. So let's bring up the all application. So it's having a hard time, and I don't know why. So I fought a little bit with the self burner tool head not connecting, and then realized it was because the little bridge piece that holds the cable in, the cable support, uh, was the wrong one. So I fixed that. Hey, cable seats and it talks. So everything was talking. Everything was just talking. So unless something with the latest install of Happy Hare hoovered something, ooh, you know what? I bet you it did. I bet you it did just foober something. Grab that just in printer config. Oh, the MMB information's there. Crapola. Why is the MMU not talking? Cable's in. The joys of troubleshooting. Cables in at the top, cables in at the bottom. Okay, just felt that. You said it's a button or a switch? Oh, holy crap. We got one lighting here. Hold on a second, let me. We got the light up floppy ears now. I heard we're supposed to have LEDs on stream, right? Numbers go up when you have LEDs? Oh, that's awesome. Hey, Thunder Keys, thank you for resubscribing. I'm going to shut these off so that they don't like, oh crap, sorry. They actually change pattern. Oh, that's awesome. So we have crazy fast, slightly fast, constant, and off. Awesome. Doing good, Shenanigans. How are you doing? Sorry I missed your stream today. I was planning on jumping on and just got tied up with meetings. We're dealing with a bit of change right now. We so my company just did a 5% personnel cut a couple of weeks back, and now we're in the throes of major reorganization of the remaining people that we have. So my bushy tail off. Laughing my That's awesome. And now we're dealing with a printer that everything was talking and communicating just a couple of minutes ago, and now it's not talking to the MMU for whatever. I know talking to the MMU. Yep, pure Thursday entertainment. There you go. I'm going to wind up having to take this hat off because it does get pretty hot. It does get pretty hot. It is definitely good to run around outside with. Cooler day. Um, yeah, I do not understand what is going on right now. Looking at our printer config, nothing has changed. We've got the Canbus. So we've got our Canbus defined, all three. Everything was talking. Now I do know that there has been people that have claimed issues with the with Canbus on the MMB and going through the MCU Canbus network versus anything else. But this is just showing up as straight up, can't find it, can't talk to it, taking forever to get there. So did anything change? Yeah, public apparently is not. Wonder my keyboard fit in the printer. That might make life. Okay, so nothing to upgrade is going on in this. I have nothing. We're gonna do all that printer old. And we're gonna do some troubleshooting using Esoterical's wonderful page. So communication to you. Nothing has changed in mine. You want to see if the UID. Now, so the reason you rename that to old is so it stops trying to constantly query the CAN bus and Klipper comes up, right? So that's what that was for. Now we're going to, I just want to do a if config and 0. Interesting. Everything was done with the 1 million, but I'm not actually seeing it listed as 1 million there. Here's my Canbus before. First off, I want to just validate where my UUID is. Where the hell is the command at? I got you. That one. Okay, we are seeing the bit rate. We are seeing everything's up. The queue length. Rerun the command to query the CAN bus. Love to do that. Where is the command? Then query the CAN bus for the UUIDs. You ate a whole crown of broccoli for supper? That's not bad. Sucks. But at least it was waiting for you to do it. I swear, I'm losing my. All right, screw it. We'll just run this CAN boot scripts. Oh, that's what I was. I know I'd find it eventually. Because what I want to do is just see if the three UUIDs are showing up when it queries. So this is an issue. So it's not even able to query the can zero. What happened when I did? So I have already put the UUIDs in Klipper. What I've done is renamed the Klipper's going to have an error because it can't find printer.cfg. I renamed it as old and rebooted. Now, however, well, I'll do this. Put down your Pi and turn everything off. The thing I didn't do, I just rebooted. Let's shut down for a second. And that is a correct as well, Thunder Keys. It was working when the stream started. I was talking to the MCU, which is on Canbus, the toolhead on Canbus, and the ERCFA on Canbus. It was all talking before we installed Happy Hare. Once we installed Happy Hare, it stopped talking. That's kind of where we're at. Hey, Hobby Main, how's it going? Sorry I missed you there. Main sales coming back up. It's going to fail, of course, because there's still no printer config. But restart my session, log in as BQ and BQ. And validate that our CAN bus is up. State is up. The Q link's 1024. The bit rate's 1 million. Query that CAN 0 bus again. And there we go. So we found all three MCUs. All three are running Klipper. So that's what I wanted to validate. So there's nothing wrong with our MCUs. They're still running Klipper. Nothing seemed to have gotten borked there. So I will rename this back to printer.cfg. Restart. Yeah. And yeah, Clippy's still having an issue trying to get things brought up. Yeah, that's the next thing I'm going to look at. Ooh, I think I want to say I think I know it's wrong, but I know there's some other things that are. This is all the configuration that it's loading. And somewhere we'll get down here to the bottom. Hey, look. So the SB2209 is timing out on connect. This is at the top, so I'm going to actually scroll down to the bottom. Ooh, something's trying to do a serial connect. MCU MMU unable to connect. I think we just need to set up some stuff. Base MMU can MMU base MMU big. Ah, there we go. So yeah, no, it's good. So the difference is I'm calling it MMB here. They're going to call it MMU through their whole slew of things. So I'm better off um, commenting that out. MMU base you config. Adding that, commenting that out. So that's the thing is they were setting up another board. Good catch. Thanks, Thunder Key. I would have been digging around forever looking. Hey, King Hat, thank you for the follow, and thank you for the suggestion to throw the I flag case and sensitivity. Like I get the distinct feeling like it's not. Yeah. Go through and do some. What's the? We're gonna have to go through and do the setup and calibration once. We have success. We have success again. And look, we've got the Happy Hare 2.5.0 ready and lanes 0 through 7. Yay! Huzzah! 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 Why would you? All right, I think what they need to do is say, have you defined your board yet or not? Because if you've already configured and defined your board, then maybe they shouldn't try and define the board and just ask if you've defined it and pull it from your base config or something. I don't know, but okay. But that's fine. We can live with this. This is progress. Give me a second to move some things around. Okay. Made a tad bit of progress. Yeah, I was going to sit down, but I can't sit down. And I can't see the screen because there's a big printer in the way. Um, MMU vendor configuration. Here functionality vary with MMU vendor. Important to verify the vendor and version correctly. MMU parameters. MMU parameter big. Got Happy Hare 250, don't mess. Using the ERCFA version 2, 8 lanes. Your max velocities and stuff. Let's say we're looking for board version and manufacturer, right? You would think that that would be right up at the top. Miss it? Apparently so. Oh, so it's the MMU vendor and the MMU version. Gotcha. Sitting there thinking Big Tree or Big Tree Tech MMB. Sorry, probably would have been glaring if I looked into this. Validate your MMU hardware config and basic operation. Typical Type A MMU will consist of a selector motor to position the desired gate, a gear motor to drive the filament, and blah, blah, blah. We do have the encoder. Okay, I will say I did not get too into this. So is there anything I need to do here other than just to make sure that, hey, the MMU encoder is identified and turned on? But I know a lot of this is going to be just tuning stuff. Tip forming, we're hopefully not going to be doing any tip forming. We're going to actually do cutting. No Nick Nick. Once again, whoops. Go to position 0, run out detection disabled, clog run out mode, set to automatic, trigger headroom 20, flow rate. Okay, so turn stuff. That's good. So that tells me that things are turned on. Calibration command. Before using the MMU, you need to calibrate it and adjust for the differences in components used on your particular build. Carefully calibrate in the recommended order because some settings built on earlier ones. Happy Hare now has automated calibration for some of the steps. That's good. Actually, take a look at the hardware configuration doc first. MCU and pin validation. We've but you want to look at the MMU hardware config. Make sure that everything is properly identified. All right, folks, I am trying to read this and learn as we go. Touch option for each stepper provides these benefits. Filming sounds good, but might not be that great. Filming capable filament drive stepper. Go ahead, MMU gear stops. Standard driver MMU gear stepper. MC. This is where we're probably going to have our first change because we're running different motors. We're running like a NEMA 14 for the drive gear and NEMA 17 pancake for the selector. In there. Don't want to use the diagonal. Pin stop is set up. Good. Go define. You don't have a servo for the filametrics filament cut. We're going to have a macro that'll go over and push it. You have filament sensor set up. We do have, well, we will install NeoPixels down the road. So that was making references out. So the pins, okay, so the actual pin numbers themselves are going to be defined in MMU config. Okay, here's where we validate pin number. And we are using or rather We're using motors 1 and 2. 15 GA8. GA0 and GA2 when we there. Once again, notice on this pin diagram, the RGB is the only connector out of that whole row of 3-pin connectors where the sensor and ground is reversed. Just be aware of that. And I know that's because, or I'm assuming it's because the um, normally your 3 wires on your LEDs would go ground, signal, 5 volt. So be aware of that. And then gates. Zero and step 11, which do is stop, stop P2. Okay, so all the aliases changes made. No, no desire whatsoever to change that variables file. Calibration settings and state. What do you mean by write up? New motor off. home is fixes over until I clear. And that again. Okay, we've got a triggered home selection. Sweet. Go. And stops working. We have a tool head sensor. Feed filament into the extruder past the switch and validate the tool head triggered. We do have tool head sensor. Nothing to find there as far as tool heads go. So the tool head would not be in here, correct? It should be actually in the tool head section. Because I still haven't done those two sensors yet. We have 3-gate sensors. Okay, so the extruder switch pin detects filament just before the extruder entry. That would be before the gears, and then the tool head switch pin would be the one after the gear. Extruder switch. So this is where I need to do my SB2209. Notes. Add notes. Oh, nice. The reason I was asking is because this is using an M5P. I think my salad fork was using an M5P. So we need extruder switch. This is the first one in. Oh, Bravo. BBs. Now what we need is some filament that we can shove in our extruder. Down here, we'll look at our end stops. So the extruder, MMU selector home, tool head, X, Y, Z, and probes. We got a lot of end stops now. I'm going to take this, run it down, and quietly listen for it to should be through the first one now. Is out. First one's triggering. Next one will be after the extruder. So I'm going to pop that. So hey, Aaron, how's it going? So this filament sensor is it's the dual sensor in the tool head for the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder. So I've got a 5.5 millimeter ball above the extruder gears that hits a switch, right? And then there's another setup below the extruder gears that hits another switch. So I've got filament in, push down through the gears, and I'm triggering both of those right now. So they're both showing triggered. Pull it up a little. And it's now, it's triggered at the top of the tool head, but it's not triggering as being past the extruder gears. Okay. Now there's no filament present. Filament's now present. There's the other one. Yeah, it's a standard Clockwork 2 extruder. It's just basically that front plate that is reconfigured to allow for two standard end stops to be installed without the levers. So our tool head end stops are now configured and functioning. We also have our filament cutter over here that we'll have to figure out the macro for. Did I ever figure out a name for the chutes and ladders machine? Matt, no, I have not come up with a name for it yet. But I mean, it could be the Easter dragon. We're getting closer to Easter. It's pink and blue. They're pop pinks, but they kind of do remind me of some Eastery colors. So right now we're just kind of digging through the Happy Hare stuff and figuring out what we got to do. So our tool head sensor seems to be working. Um, we're going to check the motor direction. Okay. Our MMU motor should be off. Going to do an MMU home. Selector doesn't move or moves in the wrong direction. Open up hardware config. Find the MMU selector. Doesn't move. It's likely the pin configuration, which I think we validated should be good. If it goes the wrong way, we just have to change the direction. So we're going to do an MMU home. We'll be ready to hit the end stop just in case it goes in the wrong direction. So it's going the right direction, but it's yeah. It was going the right direction, but it was definitely not moving smoothly. That's interesting. Yeah. MMU. Oh, yeah. You home. So I wonder if yeah. So I've got something wrong with this motor, is what it's telling me. So we're gonna need to take a look at that. Racco Lapin, Dragon Rabbit. Okay. Um, what I need to do is check this motor and see what the. Oh yeah, of course. It's right back there where you can't see it. Gonna figure out. I've had this happen before with um whatchamacallit, DFH motors where, well, just trying to get them dialed in is painful. And I wind up having to, well, the last time I had to go over and do TMC auto tune with them because I couldn't get the right parameters. And of course, where this motor is located, trying to read the flipping model number. Thanks for the lurk, Aaron. Okay, What I'm going to do is see if I can find the information. Oh, really? You're not going to look it? Yeah, that's the stepper online 14 millimeter mode. Yeah, that is so, because this is OMC, a Steppers Online. This is a DFH branded mode. Yeah, this could just be a power issue. Either I'm not giving it enough or I'm giving it too much. It could also be just simply that I've got the pins wrong, even though I'm pretty sure I checked that when I installed it. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. What do I want to do? This hinge works against me. Need to figure out the. Oh, memory. All right, I think we got close enough. Huh? Forty-two HS 20401B 20-0.3. Okay. Definitely not that number. Um, can't remember the TMC auto tune stuff. So once again, that was 42HS 20401B. Looks like it's a bisect motor. Blue, red, green, black. Kept it. 1.8. One amp motor. Hey, thanks for the follow, Cat Burun. Sorry that it's we're kind of in a lull at the moment as I'm trying to figure out. We're trying to get our motor moving, and we're hitting a snag trying to get our stepper motor moving on the MMU. So what I'm trying to do is just because it's a DFH branded motor, I'm trying to do some research on said motor to figure out if I need to adjust some of the drive parameters. In the past, I have had to adjust some drive parameters on these motors. Which kit was that? That was the salad fork, I think it was, that I had to do PMC auto tune on in order to get working appropriately. Need stall guard on it all. This is a 1.8 degree motor, 16 microsteps, rotation distance 40. Um, the the motor's trying, but it seems like it doesn't have enough oomph. But it's looking at the GitHub, the so it appears to be a FISEC motor that's been rebranded, potentially. Let me hide that as well. So when I put in B-20-0.3M, which is what the motor is actually called, it kind of gives me this 2.3M instead of the 0.3M. Kind of the closest thing. And when looking at it, it says two-phase, 3.5 volt DC, phase current 1 amp. Because normally I get some grinding, but let me I'm going to I'm going to save this and do it again, and I'm going to try and run it again. And when I run it this time, I'm going to feel it. It may be that I've got the wires in the incorrect order, but I should be in the same order as it was called out. I just matched it and did like basically a through cable. Try this again. MMU home. Oh yeah, that's feeling like I don't have the pairs matched. So we're going to shut things down, turn it off, and we're going to break out the, shut it down, turn things off, and we're going to break out the, whatchamacallit, um, multimeter. And E1. Right, because the E1 we had cut, it used the first one here is for the ear. This one. So what we're going to do is try and verify our phases, because now that I started listening to it, was closer to it, I realized that it's fighting itself. So yeah, it's in this case, it's most likely that I just have it pinned wrong. So what I'm going to do is set my multimeter up, and my pin should be side by side. If I touch the two pins side by side, I get continuity. Not. Hello. Getting anything. be this difficult? Okay, no, I got the pairings right because that's reading 3.6. So I've got pairings right. Let me double check. One B, two B, one A, two A. Or is it the ones that are the pairs or the A B's that are the pairs? I get so confused sometimes. So the phases are the A and the B, right? A and the B. So it's, yeah. So each phase is side by side. I'm losing. And green and blue, blue B and B. The wiring's right. So wiring's right, and it feels like it's fighting it. So guess that means we might just need to give her some juice, huh? This off, huh? Motor is pinned correctly, heated. Now the only thing I can think of is it's not getting enough juice, but not like it's a 2 amp motor. It is a 1.8 motor, 1.8 degree motor. So that's correct. Anybody else have any fun or known issues or experience with DFH motors? Because, yeah, like that's like not even trying to to twist and turn. Like I had to help it. One, let me, machine, hardware, selector motor, move it up a little bit at a time. See if it needs some additional coffee and a little juice. Wants some juice. Give her the juice. There we go. Just didn't have enough juice. That was it. So, and I just jumped it up point 0.1. So, boom. There we go. This box fitted back on here. Okay. So, problem solved. Just add some juice. Isn't troubleshooting fun? If the selector doesn't move or moves the wrong way, blah, 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 it didn't move. So we gave it some more juice. It moved the right direction. So that's good. And now we get to repeat the exercise with the gear step. Motor's off. Test move 100 at speed 50. Verify the gear stepper should pull filament towards the extruder. So I guess I should put some filament in. Play. Guess we should have tested if our stops back here return. Realize MMU. There aren't making any clicking no feed filament. We just hit the encoder, hit the gears. Test move 100 millimeters at speed 50. About which direction it's going in. And browser window. So it should pull the filament forward. And that was a big hell to the no. Question was, I'm not sure if it just wasn't lined up. Let me look at that again. Trying. That was feeling like something's not lined up correctly, what that feels like. When it's trying to grab it, I'm not getting a clear filament part of what's. I don't know. We'll see. Let me grab a random. Because the other thing I just remembered is there's no tension on that either. So we're in one, fourth lane, three, put a little bit of tension on that block. Huh? Still having a hard time. So let's see if that's an issue with just underpowered as well. So this is a stepper online. 14HS11. Also a 1 amp motor. One amp, 1.8. Okay. Gear that is set to 0.5. We'll give this one a little bit more juice as well. And see if we can get a little bit better movement out. Hopefully it's not binding on something. It seems to be having an issue going forward versus back. Okay. So it starts, and I'm not sure if it's like overdriving. I've got something binding is what's happening. That sucks. Large scale donkey ball. Something is, or if by some chance a rub screw. Don't know. Doesn't feel like it's too tightly tensioned. I don't know if it's wasn't tension enough. You'd think the belt would be slipping, and I'm not seeing the belt slipping. I'm seeing it like not engaged, or it starts to and then it hangs. Something potentially is bound up. Either that or need to give it some juice. Well, and that's what I'm wondering if it's bound a little bit. Hold on, let's do motors off. MMU. There's definitely part of the rotation that is a lot freer than the rest. Right there, it's starting to get tight. And right there, it just broke free and got easy again. I kind of wonder. Kind of sucks, but I'm wondering if my D shaft isn't potentially bent. No, we've got the selector moving now. Um, we're trying to test the gears out. And I don't know if you can hear this. Let me see if I can. Like seeing some physical movement. I think it might be this bearing on the end plate is causing some. So we are going to have to call this because I may wind up having to take the whole thing apart again, or at least the top tear down. If something's funky. But the good news is so far everything's working. Yeah, it's a mechanical, not an electronics issue. So that seems to be the issue. What I'm going to do for now, come back in here and drop this down. Because I'm trying to drive the motor harder to overcome a mechanical issue. What I need to do is solve the mechanical issue. The question is how much of this can I break down without having to tear like the cottontail and everything back off of it? That'll be fun. Is there anything else that we can look at while we say if the gear doesn't move or moves wrong way, open up. It's moving, and I think it's moving. Yeah, it's moving in the right direction. Motor says 0. Okay, so it says no filament in it. What do I do with the filament then? No filament. Doesn't matter the direction. Do the eyes move as moving? That was one part, right? That the eyes flash as it's moving. Should be giving me position values that are up. Motor's working. But the other sensors, so apparently the MMU gate is at 0. Value must. Anybody know what the gate sensors are called? T0. Yeah, it glows. It glows. I'm trying to figure out like, okay, you want me to validate the gate sensor? Name of the gate sensor. MMU pre-gate 0. 1 neopixel you don't put on your hunted. So Funny enough, this one's working, but the two nozzle lights I can't get to work. So I'm gonna have to take this apart and figure out if one of my solder joints broke or if I soldered something bad. Um, MMU gate. I think it's gonna want MMU pre-gate 0. What, all right, what is this syntax? Happy Hare? This is the syntax you gave me. And something similar to the following for each. What are we calling? The macros that are referring to T0 through T7. Those may be position. Calibration steps aren't. You is not. Home. All I want to do is check the thing here. Because we had the check other sensors if fitted. They are fitted. They are the pre-gate. Yeah. Like I said, I'll have to. I just have to take it apart to look at it. I may have broken one of the solder joints when I was installing it. But everything else is checked, other than we've got a motor issue, right? Which is feeling like a mechanical binding issue on the um, on the drive gear. So something's binding here. We'll have to look at that. Um, can't get this command to work because MMU gate sensor is not valid for sensor. Fury filament sensor. Calling a gate. We're calling a sensor type. That's where I was. So going into hardware, our filaments. This is the name. This is the. Yeah, that I'm like baffled of trying to figure out what the heck I need to pass this because I've never done an ERCFA build. Come up here and we'll call sensor, just see if this works. Oh, that doesn't work. We have to get a sensor designator. MMU pre-gate 0. That's the pin. So the MMU gate sensor detects filament at the gate of the MMU. Got an encoder and a servo here, so there's nothing here other than the encoder to pick up any. Because this is going to be the very first initial thing where it could come in at. I don't know how to designate. This is the pin identifier, and this will be the name for it. Okay. We may definitely be at a stopping point then because I'm confused. Guess we can do. Let's just take a look here. We're looking at sensors, query state of sensors fitted to MMU. Okay, we've got filament in 0, and I'm not hearing a clicky. I know why. Let me run that again. Triggered. So make sure that each one of our end stops is triggering. MMU pregate. Just validating that everything free. Four, 5, and 7. Okay, so all of our end stops are triggering. It's not going up into the buffer. It's when you're circling back around and coming into the back side of the coupler into your blocks. That's what's actually that's where the trigger's at. So yeah, they called it MMU pre-gate. So what was that command it was telling us to do? Query filament sensor. Okay, so there you go. It's a naming thing. So doing the MMU or query sensors what were we doing? MMU underscore sensors queries all of the sensors, and then query underscore filament underscore sensor space sensor equals MMU pre-gate 7 is, so that's the sensor name is MMU pre-gate 7, where what we were seeing in the config file under hardware was pre-gate switch underscore pin or MMU pre-gate. So yeah, we would have been trying that forever. That's lovely. MMU pre-gate. Check servo. Okay, last sanity check. Check that the servo you have fitted is operational. Run the simple command. The servo should waggle somewhere short of the configured up and down position. Don't worry about calibration. This comes next. I don't even have an arm on there because it said that we put the arm on. Like it hasn't told me to put the arm on yet. So I'm just going to put my finger there and see if I get the servo to actually move at all. Or if it barks at me because we haven't done some type of configuration yet. Well, the good news is I got some movement on the servo. So that's good. Upwork. So servo position down is giving me some weird thing. Staying up works. Something's up with down. Oh. So I'm reading about this next step. So multiple end stops on MMU steppers. Nutshell, all steppers, MMU selector, MMU gear defined in Happy Hare, they have multiple end stops defined. First one's defined in the normal way by setting the end stop pin. That's the default end stop and can be referenced in G code as default. However, it is better to give an end stop a vanity name by adding a new end stop name parameter. This is the name that will appear when listing end stops, main cell interface, or with query end stop. Happy Hare uses a naming convention of MMU underscore. So anticipated names are MMU underscore gear underscore touch, EXT underscore touch, MMU cell home, MMU selector touch, toolhead, MMU gate, and extruder. Represent touch in stop on gear, touch extruder, the physical selector home, selector touch in stop, toolhead sensor, sensor at the gate, and sensor just prior to extruder entrance. Okay, so MMU gate is the top of the extruder, and extruder is the entrance to the extruder. We actually have it as extruder and toolhead. Okay. Apparently there's been some changes. Toolhead, extruder, gate. That's not toolhead and extruder, MMU gates. So I wonder, I guess here we could actually identify that will be fine. In stop on the extruder, automatically enhance Klipper to provide end stops on the extruder stepper. This might not seem to, it has value. It can be used to sense pressure on the filament, like hitting the nozzle when loading. Unless you have a sophisticated load cell attached to your nozzle, the most likely configuration would be to define a TMC stall guard end stop. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do some more reading, especially once it starts getting into here and like stepper syncing and stuff like that. So stepper syncing will allow you to sync the movement of the MMU gear motor with the extruder motor in order to help provide sufficient pushing force. And supposedly, if it's synced right, it allows you to actually run TPU. Yeah, I'm kind of lost. I think I'm gonna have to do a lot more reading. So we have a mechanical issue with the gear drive that we'll have to troubleshoot, and then we figured out the gate things is a naming convention issue. So we can solve that. And then we'll need to get into the calibration section. So we validated the hardware config. Next would be calibration. But we've got to figure out the gear motor issue first. So I will do some research on that. Everything else seems to be working. We need to get a mount system to actually mount this and get it hanging off the back of the printer and check that gear movement. So with that being said, folks, I think we're good for the evening. I'm going to go ahead and try and figure this out and hopefully not have to take this thing completely apart to do it. Fingers crossed. But let's see who we might have that we can raid out to tonight. See who's a raid option online. Big Stitch, Babe Ross, April Mustafa. Who's playing some Paul World. Gang's building some Legos. Big Jano's up and all. Let's jump over to Big Jano. And he'll probably be doing some marble races a little bit later tonight. So we will jump over into Big Jano. And I'm going to say thanks everybody for being here. I know we didn't seem to make a lot of headway, but I knew this was the part that was going to be the longer slog. Building is easy. It's software on an MMU that's really painful. So thanks everybody for sticking around with me through this. And I will see you guys on Saturday. This Thursday, right? Yeah. I will see you guys on Saturday for another round of Black Box with the XY motion system on Black Box. Thanks everybody. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.